right, we're almost up on Substack. We'll be up on Instagram in just 1 minute. YouTube looking good. Facebook, say hello. What's going on, Twitch people? Rumble, enjoy my middle finger. Kick it's offline for a little while, and God knows why, but both of the people that are there have to come over and watch someplace else, I guess. All right, there we go, live on Instagram. 3, 2, 1, and pow. There we go. All right, up. Hello. All right, let's. Copy. Substack's being weird. Okay, give me 1 second. That fixes it. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Okay, 1 more minute, and I'll be up with Texas Paul first. Very excited to have this gentleman on the air. Hit that like, share the show, everybody. Annoy the maggot in your life. Substack one more try and see if they get their act together. If not, I will record it so I have it. Oh, it's there. Excellent.
It's always good to be here with you.
I gotta say, I have.
It's always good to be here with you.
I gotta say, I've missed talking to you, especially as the fit has hit the shan lately in Trump Town. What was your feeling when this started to really go south? For those that have been living under a rock, Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter century, and apparently it never occurred to him that he was a pedophile. And now that it has occurred to everyone else, Trump thinks it's boring and we should all move on. What's been your favorite part of this, or thing that stands out to you?
I really love the political, the machinations of it, and watching the Trump campaign try to figure out how to 2 weeks this thing, and how they tried to do we're going to release the grand jury testimony, but that'll take us a while, thinking that that's going to be the equivalent of the 2 weeks we'll give you an infrastructure bill, or 2 weeks we'll give you watching that fall flat on its face has been just.
So if the grand jury testimony for the first Epstein trial and his subsequent what he got the deal for in Palm Beach was ultimately released. As a matter of fact, the Florida legislature had to change the law to make it legal to release grand jury testimony on a state level in certain circumstances. So specifically, they could release the Epstein grand jury testimony. And here's the thing about the Epstein grand jury testimony that set my hair on fire over the weekend. So, first of all, grand jury testimony is they may have 100 things you're guilty of, but they will take the 4 things they can prove without a shadow of a doubt so they can get the indictment. They may even try to go for 6 or 8 other things in the actual trial. But to get the grand jury on board and say, yes, you can bring charges against this person for these kind of charges, you use your 4 or 3 best pieces of evidence, and it literally is the least amount of stuff, right? It is not the preponderance of evidence, like, look at all this shit we have on this dude. Can we at least try him on these 4 things? It's they bring in 3 witnesses and 2 cops, and they try to cram it down and go, based on the rock solid shit, this is what we feel like we should be able to arrest him on. Then, in the case in Florida, for reasons that blow my frigging mind, after okay, so he has this Zorro Ranch in New Mexico that he had forever. It's one of his other properties, the least talked about place. And he would let the police know that he was coming and going after his conviction. But he didn't have to. You know why he didn't have to register as a sex offender in New Mexico or tell them when he was coming and going? Is because the one charge of soliciting a minor was for a girl that was 17. And he had been accused of, genuinely, of assaulting this girl since she was 14. If he'd have been charged on the first count of when he started the abuse, he would have to register as a sex offender in every state in the country. But because they specifically, the Alex Acosta, evidence that they brought forward, what they ultimately prosecuted him with, is that they lowered the standard so far that he in a bunch of states in the country, he could travel through most of the South without having to tell anybody he solicited a minor, because you can have sex with a 16-year-old in Tennessee and in Mississippi and Louisiana and New Mexico, where he had his ranch, which, by the way, was surrounded by his ranch, which has a village where the staff lives, that's like down the hill and away from the property, has a helicopter landing pad and an airstrip, and it's surrounded by territory, by private property that is owned by the former governor of New Mexico, the King family. And I gotta say, I couldn't see any reason to not like Bill Richards when everybody was kind of touting him as a possible run for president, because in my mind, this was just the Democratic Party going, we have a Democratic governor in a state, and he's Hispanic. Maybe we could chalk up another win for the Democratic Party and go, look, we're including people. This is a good, he's a popular governor in that state, allegedly. And so I just kind of looked past the idea that he might be moved up based on that. But as, the New Mexico stuff, like looking into that this weekend, got sketchier and sketchier. And the fact that grand jury testimony was designed to allow him as much freedom as possible. Like, even if he's found guilty, it limited what kind of trial he could, or what kind of sentence he could possibly get. Sorry, Bill Richardson. Thank you. I misspoke. But on top of that, knowing that in New Mexico, he didn't have to register as a sex offender because of the deal that Alex Acosta gave him, and because of the limited nature of the grand jury. The same thing applies to this grand jury testimony that they're going to release, because it will be the least of all of it. It will not include the men that he trafficked women to. It will not, and girls, right? Because he also trafficked adult women from Eastern Europe and all kinds of places. There are women who he took their passports away, like all kinds of terrible stuff. That will not be part of this grand jury thing. So they're counting on it. They're punting. And it's such a low standard. It set my hair on fire this weekend when I found out that in New Mexico he didn't even have to register.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have no opinion.
No, but your first point, you hit on a really great point that they're counting on MAGA being dumb as dog shit. They just are.
Right. It's worked before,
this is yeah, oh yeah. This is what I've driven home with my audience, is that exactly what you're talking about. Grand jury testimony is not a trial. There won't be an Epstein list in the grand jury testimony.
Right.
They don't bring all their witnesses in. They don't bring but a fraction of their evidence. It's just getting permission to pursue an investigation and a trial. That's all. That's all it is. It's not. This is not a trial. So this bullshit deflection, this 2 weeks thing of, oh, well, we've got to get this released so that we can actually get the information to you, is crap. It is crap. Another thing that's kind of flown under the radar for me is this investigation. This was going on during the Biden administration. No one during the Biden administration walked to a microphone and said, ooh, we're doing an FBI investigation of Trump and Epstein, and we're going to nail them, and all the shit you see out of the Trump DOJ and the bullshit that they always do.
Tulsi
Because
Gabbard,
I get that question a lot. Yeah, I get that question a lot. It says, what were the Democrats doing here? And it's like their job. I mean, they were just letting the DOJ.
Because of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, the evidence around it had been sealed until January of last year. So as it was going on. And then she files an appeal. Basically, it continues forward. The judge goes, okay, well, the seal continues till she gets a chance to file her appeal in the last year of this. And now we know she's going to appeal with the help of, Alan Dershowitz, because the idea is that she was apparently, now there are a lot of people going, using this whole thing that the Epstein list is a hoax and all this kind of stuff. And, what Trump says about the Epstein files being a hoax and all that kind of stuff is not going to get her out, because ultimately he's trying to distance himself from her and Epstein, not the charges against Epstein that she participated in. The problem is you can't, stiff arm, that whole situation and go, I had no idea. I'm sure you've been to at least some of the marches that have been going on or what have you. And I was walking around the one in Vegas, and there were a bunch of, maggots yelling at people with megaphones. And I walked up to each one of them when they were there, and I said, real quick, I only have one question. How long would it have taken you to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? And all of them go, 5 minutes. I could have figured out 10 minutes, 5 minutes, like 10 seconds. Like they all, and I'm like, then why did it take Trump 25 years? And if he's that stupid and that blind to something that is that obvious, why would you want him in charge of the nuclear arsenal? It makes no sense. Like, that is where it falls apart on its face. He is not trustworthy. Even if you think he's innocent in this situation, that means he's fucking stupid, like on a massive scale, or willfully ignorant, like just brutally capable of bullshitting himself about the worst people in the world. Maybe take that into account when he talks about Putin or Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping or MBS, who threw a fucking naturalized American citizen in a fucking wood chipper. Like, maybe this asshole has no idea who's playing him. That's the best you could say of him in this, is that this guy, literally the nicest thing you could say about Trump and the entire Epstein thing is that he's so fucking dumb, he has no idea he's being played by the worst people in the world, which is just, that's the guy you're going to send to stop the fucking deep state? What? Like, it's mind-blowing.
And I tell you, actually, it's been both heartening and disappointing also to see the number of people that have come into my comment sections and that try to make the point that Bill Clinton will be on this list. Every Democrat I know says if the entire Democratic Party was in this list, put it out.
Yeah,
we
start
will
from scratch.
hang every one of them.
Right, yeah.
But think about the mentality it takes to be the kind of person to actually go through the mental machinations to say, oh, but one of your people might be in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where's your head, dude? What is your mentality that you think that that's going to slow my roll at all? I mean, because you're obviously trying to defend your guy that you know is a pedophile. I mean, this whole, but to hear Democrats it's been very heartening, because to the person, I have not seen a single person that has not said, if Bill Clinton's in it, fuck that guy.
Exactly. No, like nobody even flinches. But watching okay, so last night Trump yells on Truth Sinkhole, watch Mark Levin tonight, he gets it. And what did Mark Levin say? The line he has been feeding out to everybody, which is, this is boring, there's nothing to this, it's a distraction, they're trying to take him down, it's just like Russia, move on. And it's because they literally got this memo. And again, I don't think it's because Levin necessarily, well, I don't give a shit why. Ultimately, I think his priority is something else. So he just thinks, and he's a one-issue voter when it comes to Trump. So he literally will look past anything. And there's a bunch of maggots, I suppose, that are like that, right? That will look past anything to, right, to support Donald Trump because immigrants scary, because trans stuff, whatever the one thing that just terrifies them, they are willing. That's why I've said he's more of a pit bull than a hero to them. They don't care if he shakes the baby as long as he barks at and bites the right people. So they're so scared of the neighborhood that they will have this, and no deference to pit bulls, by the way, they're lovely animals. But you know what I'm talking about, like the notoriety of them is what they're counting on. Mm-hmm. And this is what he is to them. I don't care if he shakes the baby. I don't care if a bunch of girls at a Christian camp in Texas die if he keeps the brown people out. Like that's where they are. And it's horrifying.
You go back to the beginning, man. The Access Hollywood tape with Billy Bush.
Yeah.
You've got Amy Dorst. You talk about some of the people were adults. You've got like Amy Dorst that said, I went to the bathroom, I came out, and Trump was on me like white on rice. I couldn't get him off. It's an identical assault to the E. Jean Carroll assault. And then you've got Trump himself on the Access Hollywood bus telling you, this is what I do. And they just let me because I'm a celebrity,
well,
and
I have to say, so much attention, and I brought this up, over the weekend, and I posted it on my Blue Sky. People should follow me and you on there. And also, Texas Paul has shows on Sunday and Wednesday. Yes? Is that your regular shows?
Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Subscribe to his channel and please watch his show and, grab clips off YouTube, share stuff out, help us all elevate. But one of the things that stood out to me about the Access Hollywood tape is the fact that so much attention was paid to grab him by the pussy because it is such an extraordinarily gross statement. Is that the next line, do whatever you want. That's the scarier line. That's the fucked up line. Mm-hmm. Like, groping is one thing, and yes, it's assault. But do whatever you want is knowing his friendship with Epstein for years and what his idea of locker room talk is, and how free he felt to talk like that in front of other people who were repelled in some ways. If you listen to them laughing like, holy shit, kind of like a South Park laugh. They're like, I can't believe somebody just said that laugh, which is what happened with fucking Epstein at that party. If you look at, Epstein at the party, when Trump whispers that joke to him, Epstein does that kind of double over like, holy shit, dude. And if you can make Epstein do that, what the fuck are you saying? Mm-hmm. Right? That's right. It's just, that's just locker room talk to him.
Yeah, and the point is, it's out of his mouth. It's exactly what he says.
Yep.
Then we see testimony after testimony from woman after woman that says, yeah, he did this exact same thing, and it's assault.
Yes.
But then you get to even ones that they believe, like Stormy Daniels. They don't doubt Stormy Daniels. Right. That story is the exact same story. She went to the bathroom, walked out, and he's buck naked on the bed.
Right.
And it's like, it's go time.
Right.
It's his MO. It's what he does.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's entitled, and he thinks and it's assault. It is. It's assault.
Yes.
Hal, there's a reason that I will never meet anyone at a hotel in my hotel room. If you ever
Right.
meet me, like try to meet me at a hotel, it will be like in the lobby,
in the little bar
yeah.
downstairs. Right. Yes.
If there are people in the bar, yeah.
Yes. Right.
But
As witnesses. Right.
yeah, I mean, this is him himself saying it out loud. They know it. They're shit people, Hal. They
Yes.
just are.
Right.
And I try to tell people this. People are like, well, the messaging needs to be this. And then I'm like, no. You need to worry about the messaging reaching that small sliver, that 2 to 5% of MAGA that are, they're in the culture, but they're not dyed in the wool. That's it. The rest of these people are below you. They are sorry people. They have no morals, and he could literally shoot his wad on their wife on Fifth Avenue, and they'd be cool with it.
Right. And that means, and that's where you might have a ability to break some of them away from it, because they wake up to this fact that they've been buying this line of shit for a long time. And it's very intoxicating to be conned, and very hard for people to wake up from the sedative, the OxyContin high of being bullshitted like that. Right. And one of the things that stood out to me, and the New York Times just put out an article that, going into their long relationship. Some of it we've known before. Like I think some of us that have been so in, and around all this stuff, we're aware of it. Like these are the obvious on top of, the surface ones. They're all damning. They should have disqualified him years ago, and they didn't for some reason, right? But one of the things, let me show you this right here if I could. This is one of the women that was talking about Epstein. Said that Epstein groomed and abused her, was recruited into his world while working as a spa attendant in Mar-a-Lago. That's Virginia Giuffre, and when she was Virginia Roberts. First of all, she was 16, and she was working at Mar-a-Lago. So the idea that there wasn't some hinky shit going on there at the time, or that he felt like he could, and again, Trump apparently kicked him out for being a creep. That's the story, which is not true at all. But the idea is that he only did that when he started going, he didn't mind when he did it to the help. He didn't mind when he did to the local high school girls, but once you go after a member's daughter, suddenly fuck you. Like the elitism in it is just incredible, right? Because I mean, what's he ultimately afraid of? Like him going after Ivanka, and she's his, so whatever. Anyways, so another accuser recalled being eyed by Mr. Trump during a brief encounter in Mr. Epstein's office. That's the girl who said he was staring at her legs and stuff, and claimed that Mr. Epstein had told Mr. Trump at the time, "She's not for you." Now, what I take that to mean, and I think is obvious, is she's under 18. And you've been really clear, because we're friends, and you bring me people that I can compromise. Like, because Trump was a broke motherfucker for a period of time, and he had these properties, and he could be used because he was so leveraged. But he's not the guy you get dirt on at that time necessarily to manipulate him. He's all in. He just likes the lifestyle. There's some people... You didn't have to blackmail him. I would argue that Les Wexner, the guy who bankrolled all this shit, arguably was not being blackmailed. He just liked the service. Now, when he handed over power of attorney, maybe that was blackmail. But there's a period where a bunch of these guys are just like, they're on the team. They're on Team Epstein. They don't have to be manipulated.
You know what this reminds me of? And I'm trying to recall her name, and I can't remember her name. One of y'all in the audience will probably know who this is, but Epstein went by Trump's office, and Trump got all over the girl he was with, like white on rice. She was fucking traumatized. Yeah. Then when they left, Epstein went neck deep into her, screaming at her about how could you let him do that? Like this was his underage girl, and Trump had, kind of crossed the line with this is one of Epstein's. I'm kind of thinking that this is like post that, and that when Trump started going after her, he's like, oh, no, this one's
maybe.
Mine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And then and the rest of that story, what you're sharing there is Trump then goes after another girl that's in the other room. Mm-hmm. I mean,
he does, and he doesn't care. I mean, honestly, like these people, they're like, there's a line in Blade Runner, the score, pal. There's cops and there's little people, right? And the idea is that this is how they feel, is that Trump and his gang all want this kiss my ass card that they get from power, and then everybody else is subject to the rules except them. And this has been a thing with him for a long time. Caroline Leavitt, who, has been hiding her cross for a while and brought it back out, but interestingly enough was like wearing this white outfit where you could barely see it. Like its prominence has been, it's interesting that there's clearly thought going into, well, I don't want to wear it when I'm lying about Epstein, but I have to wear it because people are noticing I'm not wearing it. So I'll wear it in a way that will, cover my décolletage and make sure that nobody's staring at my cans, which is what they're attempting to do with how he has her dress, right? She, in her performative Christianity, came out and told another lie, which is Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said that Trump had barred Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club for being a creep. That is not true. That is a lie. They broke up over a real estate deal, and then he still continued to talk to him. And my personal belief, and this is just from gathering of evidence, this is my hunch. If I was an investigator, where I'd have to chase down a lead, is that Trump called the cops after that real estate deal because he was so pissed. He called the cops on Epstein, and then because he liked the connection and the money and all that kind of stuff, rescinded it and called Epstein and said, hey, the cops are on you. You should hide your shit, so that he owes me now. So that the next time this happens, he won't overpower me because I don't have the kind of money that I can keep doing this. And he does. He's got this endless flow of money, and I don't. And so I think he learned that from Roy Cohn. Turn in your friends and then tip them off that the cops are coming and basically you like they think you're on their team and they're looking around paranoid at everybody else, but they trust you, right? Just a total fucking scumbag. And the idea that somehow he's going to hide from this, or that this whole story that like it's a hoax, like it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction, and that goes to his brain turning to potato salad over the last couple of weeks. That whole I would love to hear your take on his uncle teaching Bigfoot or whatever the fuck, like
I talked about that in the show. I mean, it's so painfully obvious, one, that he believes this. I mean, he really believes this when he tells people that he and his Uncle John, who taught at MIT, his Uncle John was a certified genius. The man was brilliant. He really was. And he did teach at MIT.
Right.
But nobody identified the Unabomber for more than 12 years after John died.
Right.
Yeah. So there is no way for John to know that Ted Kaczynski is the Unabomber. Yes. Hell, Ted Kaczynski's own brother didn't know he was the Unabomber. Right. So for the notion that John Trump had a conversation with Donald Trump, right, that Ted Kaczynski was the Unabomber, when no one knew Ted Kaczynski was the Unabomber for more than a decade later, it's so easy to put together that this is complete bullshit. But his brain is so addled. He is so, and it's so obvious the more and more and more and more that this is not, typically an administration is an armada. You've got the flagship, and then every ship around is serving a purpose, but they're all tied and under the command of the flagship. Yeah. That is not this administration. You have people running around willy-nilly doing their own damn things, and then Trump and his, people trying to do damage control as they screw up. Right. So, I mean, it's more obvious because he cannot talk to you real time about anything that's going on. It has to be something from ancient memory, or it's a line that they've just repeated over and over and over and over and over and over until he just repeats that line. I mean, his brain is pudding.
Yeah. Well, and again, this is one of those things where like one of the other big ones was, and if it was like, we could do if this were Biden thing for a fucking week about this. But one of the other things he brought up was that, Biden was such a fool and stupid for nominating Powell for the Fed chair, when Trump did it. He was Trump's pick, right? That alone, right? Under normal circumstances, people would, again, if Biden had said when Obama nominated Powell for whatever, people would go, oh, his brain's cooked. He's an old man. This is ridiculous, whatever. That alone is one thing. But the Unabomber thing is like a totally fabricated, crazy fiction. The only thing that explains it, and again, the most generous thing is that Trump is talking to ghosts. That literally, like, I can see a wing of like evangelical maggots thinking he talks to spirits. That's how connected to the Lord he is, right? Like every one of these is so frigging mind blowing. It's hard to even fathom how they come back to it. And I don't know why the press doesn't keep bothering Caroline Leavitt with this Unabomber thing. Like that alone would be hilarious. You want to make some news. Bring up, besides the Unabomber, did Trump's, uncle also, discover, did he by any chance teach the pipe bomber from Jan 6? Since he, we haven't discovered who that person is. Maybe Trump can talk to the ghost of his uncle and figure out who tried to bomb the DNC and the RNC, because this is just batshit.
And nothing lays bare that the corporate media is so in the pocket and on the side of Republicans than what you're talking about here. In the same week, he tells the John Trump story, which is completely fabricated, and then, as you talked about, Jerome Powell. There's literally side-by-side comparisons all over social media that you people can find of him swearing in, introducing Jerome Powell, not swearing, but introducing Jerome Powell, his nomination to be the Fed chair. He did this. You would remember that.
Yes.
How you would remember doing that.
Especially if you were griping about it. Like if you were griping about it. Now
imagine...
you'd be kicking yourself.
How many days in the news this would have been running if this had been Joe Biden? Remember when Joe Biden said El Sisi was the president of Mexico by accident?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because he was running back and forth between talking points, and he ran over his own words, and he just screwed up. You know what I mean? That was a 3-day news story, Hal. 3 days it dominated primetime news.
Yeah.
This has been 2 of these things within a matter of days. Nothing. Crickets.
They were in the same speech. This was at the AI summit in Pennsylvania. The Powell thing, and he said that again. And he said this whole fucking Unabomber nonsense. And again, this stacks on top of.
I didn't know they were in the same speech. He's been telling that Unabomber story over and over. And that's why I don't understand how you're right. Why aren't they pelting, bullshit Barbie with this?
Yes. I mean, at the very least, you go, like, really, though? Like, somebody just needs to go, really, though? I'm not hammering this, but this is crazy. Like, say this to Caroline Leavitt. Somebody has to stand and go, look, the Unabomber wasn't discovered until 1996. Nobody knew who he was. John Trump died in 1985. What the hell is he talking about? Like, just that. Just that. And I gotta say, somebody was pointing out that, that apparently J.D. Vance met with Rupert Murdoch in Montana about this. And this goes to that idea, this bum rush, that they know his brain is turning to jelly. They don't think he's going to make it the whole run. They know that everything he said about Biden is true by a factor of 10 of him. And that's why they're trying to get him to sign all this stuff. I mean, I think some of the leverage on the big BS bill was the fact that, like, dude, we have to pass this now. Because if we try to pass it later in the year, he's going to keep saying goofy shit. Like the Unabomber story, they're lucky it happened after the bill, because there's a question like, do you want this dude signing anything?
But again, Hal, compare the two. You had Joe Biden, who was not in any office, no office whatsoever. Yes. During the campaign, before he was elected president, he held no official office, went to Facebook and Twitter and said, you need to fact check this Hunter Biden shit.
Yeah.
You need to fact check it. That was
Yes.
the end of the world for MAGA. And
Right.
again, you folks know it. News story after news story after news story about how this was supposedly a problem. J.D. Vance jumps on Air Force Two, flies to Montana to sit with, was it Montana or Wyoming? Montana. Right?
Yeah.
To sit at Rupert Murdoch's ranch and tell Rupert Murdoch to spike a story. And again, crickets. Is this the 5 o'clock news? Is this Dateline NBC? Is it nothing? Nothing.
Well, here's the thing. So my question is, I think the assumption is, and rightly so, because there's this concept of sycophantry around Trump and his crowd, that everybody just toes the line and that it is a cult. But I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I trust that we are going to have elections and why Trump won't be able to shut them down and that kind of stuff, although I do think there's a chance of some chicanery and them fucking with the elections, it's very hard to do on a state level, even amongst red states, because there are red state Republicans who want to eventually be president of the United States, not the commandant of Russia 2.0. And so they want the system to exist. For all their sucking up to Trump, they do want a constitutional republic like they talk about, right? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Reality of, the country they actually want to lead with the freedoms that they have and the reality of it, and to really win on merits because they think they can, and Trump trying to manipulate the system. I do think there's a divergence there, and that's the Thune world versus the Trump world. But there is also a very strong chance, and by the way, this is what we're talking about, folks, that J.D. Vance met with Rupert Murdoch hours before the Wall Street Journal released the bombshell Trump's Epstein report. And they did not announce the trip beforehand. Hence, the excursion is seen as a surprise and prompted local speculation. I would argue that...
Hey, Hal, real quick, while you're on that, dude, let me ask you something. Yeah. J.D. Vance came out and told the entire world that they didn't even show us this. Do you think he saw it when he was sitting with Rupert Murdoch before they ran the freaking story?
Of course. Here's what I also think. That he may have gone out there, because the idea is that everybody sucks up to Trump and this is how it operates, to go out there and go, please don't do this. But he might have also flown out there to have a meeting with Murdoch because Murdoch called him and said, come out to Montana, we're going to talk. And if you want any fucking shot at winning in 2028 because Trump cannot run again, you're going to let us take him down. Because he's going to fuck the dollar, he's going to fuck the markets, he's going to fuck the country, he's going to try and turn it into an authoritarian dictatorship. And if that, the next time we have a Dick Cheney out there, we're fucked. No way, right? That's what I think. Honestly, I think there's as much a chance that Murdoch summoned him as he flew out to there to kind of plead Trump's case. And again, he was just on Theo Von not too long ago saying, release the tapes, right? There are fucking music videos being made of that quote. And he said it the day before, and I think Lawrence O'Donnell pointed this out, the day before, when the Epstein letter, the titty drawing that Trump did, he put on X, he was like, release show us the drawing, show us the paper, right? And Trump's, when he filed his lawsuit, did not say release it. When he talks about it in all of his crazy posts, he didn't say release it. He didn't go anywhere near that, right? So yeah. I think there's a chance, like Vance knows, that he thinks he's the next wave of MAGA, and that's the technocracy, right?
Yeah, Vance, just this guy is so unappealing. They have to know that he cannot pick up the mantle on that they can't. They can't. Yeah, but it all goes down to the embarrassment that this is causing. I hate to kind of divert off on this, but I don't want to get away from the influencers. You had DC Drano, Chaya Rychek, and all of them standing there holding up the binders of the Epstein files, the Epstein list. Good. We're going to release, and their credibility all went out the window.
Yeah.
And they were more concerned, and when I say they, I mean the oligarchs were more concerned that they lost these people than they were actually concerned about the damage this was doing to Trump. I mean, it's it is hilarious to see this shake out the way it is.
That's right.
But JD Vance picking up the mantle, that guy is so unappealing.
I agree. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's such a dweeb that there's an element of, and I think Newsom is playing it smart and is out, is circumventing Vance in this way, like where he can come out and go, I wasn't afraid to go on these maggot podcasts. I can talk to anybody. I believe even the red districts in my state deserve services the same way the blues do. And I've run the fourth biggest economy in the world in California, an integral part of this. And we've gotten better. We recovered from these things that we went through. Nobody gets to sidestep challenges, but we deal with this or whatever. Meanwhile, it's me and maybe Gretchen Whitmer or whoever would run in the second seat in that regard, or whoever's going to be VP, and the potential that we could, over 8 years, move towards trying to get a woman in office again because we think it's the right thing to do. He can develop that and win back over that, what would be the Obama coalition and the young voters again, the next round of young voters, which are a different group than this kind of Talking Points USA bullshit crowd, who are all leaving, by the way, because of the Epstein shit. And Vance will be carrying that water. Vance can't help, but because he's got to. He's either got to be loyal, like the split is right down the middle of his fucking forehead. He's either got to service Trump and MAGA, or he's got to distance himself a huge, like he's got to put a gulf between them, right? And he can't do both without losing 8 to 15% of the fucking electorate. And he's boring on top of that.
Yep.
Right.
But you mentioned Turning Point USA. That was another one that was I just sat back and smiled so freaking hard watching Charlie Kirk one day sitting with Megyn Kelly. This is terrible. This is the worst thing that ever happened. This is huge. This is, hurting the credibility of some of our best influencers. I can't believe they're doing this. And Megyn Kelly, like, you would only do this to an enemy. And just one thing, they hair so on good. Fire. They were just furious. And then the next day, Charlie Kirk, I trust the people in D.C. Oh, yeah. I trust our leaders. There's nothing to this.
Right? What happened the day after that? Yeah. So he comes out on that Monday and goes, I'm done talking about it. I trust my president. I trust the people in office to handle this or whatever. And then the next day, he was like, I just meant for the rest of the show, which was fucking so weak. It was so fucking weak. It was glorious. So he's like, I meant I was done talking about it for that episode. I'm like, well, sorry, you trust the government for the next half hour? What are you talking about? Like, it was so lame that, and now because their audience booed the shit out of this, so he's split. It's a good point. It's the same split between that Vance is experiencing now, because on the one hand, Charlie Kirk, the entire crowd at Toilet Paper USA was like Megyn Kelly, cheer if it matters to the Epstein files matter to you. Rah, right? Clap if you think it's not a big deal. Boo from Laura Ingraham, right? And then and he talks all the time. I'm sure you've seen this. He talks all the time about his conversations with the White House, and he's spoken to them, and he even said at one point, because he's stupid, I'm waiting to hear what they want me to say about it. Like, it was to that effect. Like, I'm waiting to hear how the White House wants me to spin this, is effectively what he was saying. And you're like, you're that dumb? You're just like, holy shit. Like, it's so good. And it's not going anywhere. This is not gonna subside. It's gotten, I'm sure you've seen it all over YouTube, but the amount of Epstein videos is just like, brah.
The fact that we're even talking about this at all is pure testimony to just how imbecilically bad these people are when they're actually put in the spotlight, and you have to watch them. When they're not a news clip talking point where they actually have to govern. Think about this. All they had to do was this.
Yeah.
And never mention Epstein again. And his side, the MAGA people, would have run with their conspiracy theories and talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And it would have never gone away. It would have been a positive, because they would have just said, oh, it's all Democrats and this, that, and the other. They just had to do nothing. And it would have
but
still served them.
Because here's the thing. Trump...
But they couldn't help themselves.
Well, I think also is that there is a material reality, and so seldom do we deal with this with Donald Trump, that he has to come to grips with reality. And the reality is he's all over those fucking files. So we find out this report, that there were 1,000 agents on like rotating 24-hour shifts, flagging any mention of Trump in the thousands and thousands of pieces of paperwork. They had videos, according to Mueller, she wrote, they had a video put out, like a training video on how to flag stuff secretly, but they put it on an unclassified server because that's how fucking dumb these people are. And so the video is apparently out there and will pop up soon, apparently. And I can't wait. It's going to be so glorious. It'll be almost as good as the deposition Trump will have to do in the Wall Street Journal case. And by the way, there is a very strong chance that if Trump's lawsuit is thrown out and he attempts to damage the Wall Street Journal by attacking them all the time, as president of the United States and the power that he has, the Wall Street Journal could sue the president of the United States over this, because he meant to use the media cycle and the bully pulpit to undermine the credibility of it by doing this like lawfare, or if he was meant to go through with it, or just as like a, like, I don't know, as a bait and switch. Filing this lawsuit he knew had no legs, but just to make the point, I'm suing them, just so that he can say he sued them. So MAGA goes, he sued them, right? Even though it got thrown out or whatever. And they can blame the judge for throwing it out because there's no merit. Or Trump won't sit for a deposition. So if you're not willing to do that, then your case can't go forward. Sorry, fucko. That the Wall Street Journal could sue the president and force him to sit for a deposition and answer to the fact that he tried to defame the paper. From the presidency.
I kind of have a different, given Rupert Murdoch's history, I kind of have a different path that I think they're going to go. I think that they're going to do one of those bullshit settlements where they agree to donate to a charity. So Rupert Murdoch is out a couple $1 million that he was going to write off on his taxes anyways, because he's donating the settlement to a charity. And then Trump runs around, see, I won. It was all bullshit. And then MAGA gets what they need to keep voting. And Rupert Murdoch stays the darling of the Republican establishment. And
I think I would agree if this was any other issue. But because it's Epstein, there's a certain point where, this, you can't get away from this. And the rest of the newspapers, kind of like All the President's Men, are running from it. If you recall, one of the subplots in All the President's Men is that while the Washington Post was going after, the New York Times was doing a concurrent report, and they were trying to stay ahead. That's why, Deep Throat was so important to their, them getting, the hedge on the New York Times in that story, and then once it came out, it was on every paper, right? And that Wall Street, the Washington Post got the credit for breaking it, but the rest of them, yes. And Wood, speaking of which, Woodward won his suit over the weekend. They threw out Trump's lawsuit against Woodward. That this, once the Wall Street Journal unleashes this and says this is part of it, the next day, the New York Times went, not to be left in the dust by the Wall Street Journal, releases this thing on the relationship of him that has heretofore unknown stuff about Trump, allegedly sexually assaulting underage women or young women that were in, that he and Epstein shared a girlfriend for a year, that Epstein brought this woman in and basically let Trump paw her because he was kind of done with her, right? That was the idea, is that Trump likes them over 18. So and it's fairly obvious that in a grooming situation, once these women hit 18, 19, 20, the thrill is gone for the Epsteins of the world. But that's when they just get started for somebody like Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, had this I want to say she was 19, this model that he kept in an apartment in New York that while he was married to Marla Maples, that was allegedly introduced to him by Epstein. And I wouldn't doubt, if you looked it up, if Epstein actually paid for the apartment at this point. So I don't think it goes away. I think this is different. And I think you can look at the MAGA influencers and see that it's different because of how they talk about it and how they're not letting it go, right?
And a shout out to Midas. I got to give him credit on this.
Yeah.
The fact that they found out that Howard Butlick is
a neighbor,
was Epstein's neighbor.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't know if you live right next door to Howard to Jeffrey Epstein that this, like you keep saying, the most charitable explanation. How would you not know?
Yeah. The nicest thing you could say about Nutlick is that he's so fucking blind and stupid he couldn't see that Prince Andrew walks in and then there's a bunch of underage girls coming and going in the same fucking car, on the regular, or that people around the neighborhood or whoever you fucking hang out with, if you know anybody else, or you all go to the Hamptons and that's the one guy that doesn't go and he owns the biggest house on the block. He's your next door neighbor. You bought it from a trust that he partially owns. Get the fuck out of here. And then you're in the administration. And that's the other thing, too, is that, the other thing MAGA has to confront at some point, and this has got to be out there, is that how many people involved with giving Epstein a pass or aiding and abetting him weren't in just Trump's circle, but ended up in the administration. Not just Alex Acosta, but Pam Bondi could have brought charges, could have torn up that non-prosecution agreement that you had and said, this is bullshit. There's no way this is legal. I'm going to go after him. She, the entire time she was AG in Florida, didn't do it. Did not.
Yep.
And Nutlick living next door to him, the number of people who are, and then of course now Kash Patel and Bongholio are being, vilified in maggotdom, because they're giving this a pass. They're aiding and abetting it, right? And they were the ones, talk about a fucking flip. They ran on, we're going to finally get this shit, right? The deep state's not going to stop us from, from getting this, the Epstein list is going to come out and you can count on it. You can take that to the bank, right? And then they get in, literally, actually, he wasn't blackmailing anybody. There's no evidence that you could prosecute anybody else around him on at all. And he died in his cell of suicide.
And speaking of that, Hal, I mean, you cannot overlook the fact, one of the things that's going to give this air forever is the raw footage that they supposedly released was not raw footage, that it was modified. There's part of it that's actually missing.
3 minutes.
At
least. If it's from the same fucking day, if it's not slashed together from other stuff, at a certain point, it's 10 hours and you don't think that there are hundreds of maggots out there, both on the internet, doing their own shows and not watching this video, riveted for 10 hours. Okay, I'm watching 1 hour and then I'm going to take a break and watch the next hour. And then I'm going to, write down my notes on who came and went. And then the idea that apparently, and this is just so Bongholio, that who is of course looking for TP for his bunghole. Dan Bongholio says you can see clear as day. You can see the door to his cell. It is abundantly clear that Dan Bongholio is so fucking dumb. He thinks the door to the right is Epstein's cell, the one where the janitor comes out and changes the garbage bags. He thinks that's the cell, or he's just the worst fucking liar in the history of liars, which is reason enough for Trump to give him a job. But holy shit, those two doors, one's a cell, the other one is an access door for the staff to clean the place and do all kinds of stuff. The Epstein's isn't even visible. The stairs are barely visible. You can just see the edge of them. If you walk the right side of the stairs, you wouldn't be able to see anybody moving around. It is so insane. And the fact that there's 3 minutes missing is glorious. The fact that it was a minute missing, that it jumped, and then it was actually it's 3 minutes because the two files that were slapped together, one of them is missing 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Or whatever it is, like 1 minute 58 seconds, and then a minute was cut off or whatever. And that's, you're right. That is not going away. That's a 10 hours of Brooder film that is just the laughing stock. It changes perspective multiple times. It zooms and zooms out like that. Like it basically flickers between them, which just would hide if somebody walked by the edge of the frame in that shot. Would eliminate you seeing their shoulder as they went by. Like, it's so fucking lame. And I would say, here's the new... Oh, and there's Tara in our background. We'll bring her on in just 1 minute. I want to remind everybody, Texas Paul, Sunday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Check out his show. Grab clips from it and share the fuckers. That's what I'm saying. Like, on your social medias and that kind of stuff, because it helps. Like, it helps, germinate the waves with a pushback on this. So this is the thing, and I will... get your thoughts on it, and then I have no doubt we will dovetail into this with our dear friend Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock, who's waiting in the wings. This idea that Epstein is alive? So there was a guy who went on Peanut Butter Dickhead's podcast, and there's another dude who was on Joe Rogan last week, I believe, who was talking about the fact that he's not dead. The Vinny on Peanut Butter Dickhead has been talking about this idea that the corpse had a rounded nose, and Epstein had his nose fixed to make it straight, and so they found a guy who looked just like him except without the nose job and wheeled that guy out or what have you. But the thing was, he was being resuscitated as he left, and then he was cremated, and they were most of the people who are doing the examinations on him are doing it via X-rays, which could have been anybody that they just strangled, right? That was the idea, that all the people that they hired. But the idea is that he's alive and well and running around. And I gotta say, if you're worth $7 billion and that money comes from the sketchiest fuckers in the world, the idea that you could spring yourself from jail with an elaborate ploy to make yourself look dead is not, as a $1 billion enterprise to keep the other 6 you have and then get your face shaped and disappear. It seems like a plot of a movie, but it's completely plausible. It's not that expensive. The guys fell asleep. They faked their records. They were I don't know, doing QVC while they should have been checking his cell. He got extra blankets because he wouldn't have been able to hang himself without them. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be true, but it is eating MAGA up right now. Because that's yes. So what's your thoughts overall? Your own personal opinion, doesn't have to be based on the facts. Your vibe on it. He hung himself. He was murdered, and they made it look like it, or he's actually running around. And that picture of him from the air on his island 2 days after he was strangled that apparently showed up, where he's getting out of a golf cart. I don't know if you've seen that one. That's going all over the internet. Yeah, it's an aerial shot of a guy stepping out of a golf cart on Little St. James. That looks like Jeffrey Epstein, a lot like Jeffrey Epstein. So that's what they're, and again, this could be from a fucking golf course, some dude in fucking Wisconsin. Nobody knows, right? Because that's the thing. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's setting their hair on fire, right?
My final thought is that we live in a world where there are some college graduates that believe the world is flat and not a globe. There will be plenty of people that will clam onto this. It is a problem. They said they would release raw footage. They didn't. There's a reason they didn't. There's a reason that it was actually manipulated. Mm-hmm. They knew it was manipulated. Mm-hmm. So all of this just feeds conspiracy theories. This will not go away. This is going to plague him after he leaves office. This will plague him after he dies. This is the kind of thing that when he ends up doing a Denny Hastert and ends up going to prison after.
Right. Yes.
People are going to say, well, God, we knew. Look at the stuff we knew.
Right.
So, this has got hang time, man.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Texas Paul. Again, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, check out his show. Subscribe to our dear friend Texas Paul on all of his socials, and I will see you again next time, my friend. Excellent.
Always a pleasure, Hal.
Yeah.
Love talking to you, my friend. Can't
You
wait
too.
to see you again, man. Can't
I
wait
know.
to see you again.
We'll make it happen.
I'm gonna come out to you, man. I am. I'm gonna come out to you, brother. I am. Next
I
trip.
love that. You, me, Boston Brian, we'll do a sit down. We'll rent one of those podcasting studios. Tara, we'll bring her down. We'll get one of those little podcasting studios you can rent by the hour in LA. There's one I think on the Sunset Strip that people use a bunch, and we'll all just have a sit down and a powwow this shit, because it's right now especially, it's so amazing. And it's not going to get any better for Trump. His brain's turning to potato salad, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Thank you, brother, so much. I'll see you soon in your territory and in mine. And come out to Vegas, too, for God's sake. Yeah.
Will do. Will
All
do,
right.
man.
Awesome. There he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Texas Paul. And let me grab this real quick, and I'm going to bring in our dear friend Tara Dublin, who is waiting in the wings as well. There she is. Hi, Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. How are you?
Hey, stranger. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks, which is 11 years in Trump time.
That's right. Yes.
So
oh, my God.
So much has happened
so
in the
much
time since I last saw you. Let's run it down quickly, because you haven't seen me, and who knows what everybody knows. Okay, so first of all, since we last spoke, the last time we spoke, we were not talking about the Epstein files.
Nope.
We were not. We did not. I don't know that we brought it up. We might have discussed it, because usually we drop it in towards the end of the show or something about conspiracy theory. We usually speak about the cult. But in the time that has elapsed since we last spoke, which was June 30th, first of all, this is the longest July in world history. The longest July ever.
Yeah.
Just it won't stop being July. And so since then, I've had a tooth pulled. I've had a cavity filled. I've had E. Jean Carroll and Joe Walsh on my podcast.
Amazing.
And then all of this exploded. And then just today, I'm very pleased to announce that just today, I signed a contract with SiriusXM to be a fill-in host on the Progress channel for when friends go on vacation.
What's up? There we go.
So, our wonderful friend John Fugelsang is about to go on book tour with his book, Separation of Church and Hate. So whilst he's on the road, I will have opportunity to fill in, which is delightful. And perhaps also when Dino Badela, who's also a dear friend, when he decides he needs a day or so off, I'll be around to pick up the slack. And so I just signed that contract. I don't know when it'll happen, but I'll certainly tell all the kids. And no, I don't have a book deal yet, but hey, let's keep working on that, shall we?
Sure.
Because something has transpired since we last spoke, which is this Epstein files, Michigas blowing up, and not for nothing, but I have been sharing a recording I made of an excerpt from the Epstein files of Katie Johnson's testimony, which I recorded over a year ago. And we have talked about this, I know. Katie Johnson's testimony has been available on the internet for ages. For I don't know how long, correct? And it's weird that none of MAGA finds it, but we can find it. And Pam Bondi couldn't find it, strangely. Yet it has existed on the internet and in the world.
Yeah.
And has been shared. And a year ago, there was more victim testimony that was released thanks to Ron DeSantis, an unlikely ally here, because he hates
Hurt me,
Trump.
Rhonda. Hurt me,
says.
Rhonda. Right.
Right. Death Santis, who on the one hand opened up a concentration camp in Florida, also introduced a victim testimony from the Epstein files, had those declassified because he was mad that he couldn't run for president last year. Boo-hoo. So he's a petty little bitch, and that's fine. Thank you, Governor Jack Boots Mick Florida, for doing one good thing. So Katie Johnson's testimony is widely available, and it's horrific and it's disgusting. And the reason I recorded it is because it's worse when you hear what Trump did rather than just read it. Because you can go, I'm not reading that, or that's a fake, or I don't want to know, or no. But when someone forces you to listen to something that you don't want to listen to, I don't know, like all of the Republicans in Congress, it would be great if someone would just play my audio recording. I have given both House Republicans and House Democrats my permission, as well as anybody else who wants to use it, because it's in the public domain. Please share it everywhere. It's on my Twitter. It's on my Blue Sky. It's on my Instagram. It's on my YouTube. It's on my Substack. I could not be sharing it more. I need your help in making it go mecha viral. More viral than anything has ever been viral before. Because the truth to me matters more than anything. And one of the points that I've made repeatedly during this Epstein files mishigas, because MAGA doesn't know what they want now. They don't know what to think. They don't know what to believe. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to tweet. If Bill Clinton was all over those Epstein files and Donald Trump was not, we would have it already. We would have it. Maybe they would have even mailed it to our houses individually. I don't know. But in 2020, because Jeffrey Epstein died in 2019, Donald Trump was
allegedly.
Donald Trump, that man is dead as dead gets. Okay, he is a dead man.
Why are you aiding the deep state? Why, Tara? Why are you supporting the deep state by helping cover for his escape? Sorry. Okay.
That's right. I'm covering. That's what I'm doing.
That's right.
That man was murdered, and it was meant to look like a suicide. And it's weird that the video feed from the camera outside of his cell worked fine, mostly 100% of the time, except for the minute and a half that they killed him. And
no.
Footage.
I beg your pardon. No. I must correct you here. All of the cameras, except the one that they showed, which was around the corner and doesn't actually even show the stairs going up to the level he was.
Right,
all of them went out.
All of them.
All of them.
Ooh,
7 cameras at least. All went out during that time.
They all
did
came
not
back
record
at the same time.
Yes, they all went back to working the next day after the guys had faked their rounds and were sleeping on the job.
Sure. I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I'm going to say there's something hinky about that claim. So I'm going to say that anything coming from Trump is a big fat lie, except when he's totally confessing, which he can't stop doing. So he's totally Streisand affected himself with this Epstein thing. Because again, I will go back to my original point, which is if Bill Clinton was all over the Epstein files, but Donald Trump was not, it would be wallpapered all over the Oval Office instead of the Declaration of Independence being hung there. They would have made it known in 2019. They would have made it known in 2020 when he was running for re-election. You want to blow Joe Biden out of the water, show that Democrats were protecting Bill Clinton. You did not do that. You did not show us anything because you don't got anything except shit that makes you look even worse.
Right.
So I'm going to posit that Pam Bondi is a big liar owned by Trump because he gave her $25,000 back in 2013. Weird. And it's weird that MAGA will accept any lie. So the file, the list is on her desk, and then all of a sudden it doesn't exist. And then they did the Michigas thing where all the MAGA people got the binders, and then they were so excited, and DC Drano and Libs of TikTok are dancing. They're
Liz
dancing
Wheeler,
with
don't
these
forget
binders.
Liz Wheeler. She's having the worst
Liz
burn down
Wheeler.
of them all because she's on the blase with Glenn,
Liz.
with
On
Glenn
the
Bunk.
blase. You're so funny. I love that.
The blase.
Yeah, so they're dancing.
How's it supposed to be
with these
pronounced?
binders, and
Excuse me.
I don't know. know. The be lazy. How about that?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, it might be. You're right. It might be the be lazy in terms of their reporting
Untapped
standards.
writing gold mine. I'm a fucking genius. Why am I not
agree.
making millions? I don't know why. Then they open the binders and they're full of nothing but redactions. Nothing. Every page is blacked out. And they're like, wait, where's the shit on Bill Clinton? Wait. And there wasn't any. So she gave them binders full of nothing. And they were like, what's up with this? What up, Pam? I don't understand. And so that happened. And now more things have happened that make Trump look bad. And MAGA's like, see, no.
The biggest part of it, I got to say, the biggest thing that I've seen set off MAGA is the when he called it a hoax and said it was concocted by left-wing people. Even... like, I showed a video of, Glenn Beck doing one of his half-hour specials on his network where he talks about stuff in front of his blackboard. And the part that hung him up, where he literally had no answer for it, like, he was like, I can't even begin to make sense of that, is that it was all made up by Democrats, and it's a left-wing hoax The whole
Sure
Epstein thing, which might be, I gotta say, without the Bondi thing, if it had happened in a different sequence, he could have said, my relationship, they're blowing it out of where I told the guy to go pound sand, and everything since has been a
And he
hoax.
never did.
He didn't do
You
that.
and I have
But he
talked about
could
that
have.
repeatedly.
He could have.
Yeah.
And then she released the whole thing about there's nothing to see here. He wasn't blackmailing anybody. The syntax of it would have helped him maybe amongst a certain small window of maggots, right?
Mhm.
But that's just, he just fucking, like, blew the doors off that nonsense. Like, the fact that he called it a hoax, yeah, Handy Girl's saying hoax is code word for it's true. I agree.
Yep,
And
100%. How many
100%.
hoaxes have there been perpetrated against just this one man?
Right.
So he's just what an unlucky guy. So
Yeah.
many hoaxes just around this one person. It's insanity.
It's a hoax. It's a hoax that he made Alex Acosta the fucking labor secretary. It's a hoax that Bill Barr's father gave Epstein a job at a girls' school, his first gig that he did not earn because he wasn't an accredited teacher. It's and then gave a pass on all these things. Never released the shit while he was clamoring in public about it. It's a hoax that Pam Bondi was the AG after this and didn't tear up the non-prosecution agreement and go after him because he was terrible, or after his co-conspirators, because you can't give somebody a plea deal that wasn't even present or charged in a situation. That's just fucking bananas. It's a it's a hoax that Patel and Bongholio were selling this. Oh my God, the list, and then
It's nuts. And my favorite one is that Obama and Biden conspired to write the Epstein files, but they apparently believe it happened in 2003. They conspired in 2003 to write the Epstein files. First of all, Joe Biden and
way to
Barack
plan
Obama
ahead, guys.
did not meet. Yeah, so first of all, Donald Trump was not running for president in 2003.
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein was still alive. Donald Trump was still friends with him. But Barack Obama and Joe Biden did not actually meet until 2004, which is when Barack Obama became a senator.
Right.
That's when they first met. They met, he became a senator, and at that time, neither of them were like, "Hey, we're going to be president and vice president in about a little under 20, in about 4 years or so. Let's write something now about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump so that 20 years from now we'll be protected." That's just that is right up there with my uncle taught the Unabomber.
Right.
Because just make up shit, Mike Johnson, that Donald Trump has a 90% approval rating. Let's just pull all numbers out of our asses because MAGA will believe anything. It's insanity. And again, and by the way, the other thing that I'm seeing from the MAGA people, which is annoying, why didn't Joe Biden prosecute him if he had the Epstein files? First of all, if Joe Biden directed his DOJ to go after Donald Trump, imagine the fallout from that. And he allowed, there were smaller investigations going on during the Biden administration, but it was not the focal point of the Biden administration because he was busy cleaning up Trump's global pandemic.
Well, also because of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, the records were sealed until January of 2024, last year, leading into the election, by the way. So on top of that,
other priorities. So you can't stop blaming Joe Biden for Donald Trump raping little girls because it's not Joe Biden's fault that he did that.
And grown women. And it was an equal opportunity offender.
That's correct.
Now, let me show you something. So the list. We've heard the list, and JP Mandel is on Theo Vaughn's podcast saying release the list and all this kind of stuff.
I know.
Oh, that's and then
he
suddenly
goes to
don't.
Montana with the Fox guy. He's over in Montana with Rupert Murdoch.
So my question is, did he go? Did Vance intervene and fly there to talk him out of it, or was he summoned by Murdoch to go, hey? We're going to do this, and if you want any shot at a future in politics or whatever, you're going to let us, and watch yourself.
I think it's that second thing because I would guarantee that J.D. Vance fucking hates Donald Trump, and he would talk shit about Donald Trump all the time until he became the vice president. By the way, Donald Trump did not know his real name, even when he was talking about him right after he became the VP nominee.
I'm not sure we do.
What's his name? JP Mandel. What's his name?
Yeah.
So his name is Vladimir Futon. That's his name. And his name is His name is Peter Powell's little bitch. That's what his name is because he's owned by Peter Pay Powell.
Yeah, Peter
His name's
PayPal. Yeah,
Peter
right.
PayPal. Peter PayPal Teal.
And also,
So
of
James
course,
Vance,
Couch humping, jumping, feel the beat, take it higher, can't retreat.
what's the difference between a couch and a love seat? This song.
Can't deny,
yeah.
humping, reach the sky.
Yeah, you got to be some couch
That's
humping. All
always
right.
true. He's
Yes.
never okay. So you're never gonna outlive that. You're never gonna
Nope.
outrun that ever. That's sticking to
Nope.
you like your sticky couch. That is sticking to you. This Epstein thing is gonna. First of all, this Epstein thing needs to stick to all Republicans who are still protecting Trump. That's the other insane thing that we are seeing
Mhm.
is MAGA is in a precarious place. They don't know who to believe. And they don't know
Mhm.
what to believe. So what they're doing is creating more bots to attack us. It's
Yeah.
not my fault Donald Trump has been lying to you for a decade, you pathetic cult freaks.
Right.
But, you know, and I'm not your whipping girl, and
Mhm.
I'm not your mom, and I don't have to spoon feed you facts that are readily available to everyone with an internet.
But
with-
I will.
Right? So yes, I know. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. You can. I mean, I do not know how many times I've shared the video that I recorded of Katie Johnson's testimony.
Mhm.
But MAGA don't like it. They think it's fake. They think it's AI because my reading is very straightforward, like this.
Mhm.
On the third occasion, da da da. It
Well,
took
there's now
me
video
over
of
an
her-
hour
There's now video of her,
testifying
online.
on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Giving her
It's
deposition.
everywhere. And by the way,
Yeah.
so if you read E. Jean Carroll's book, Not My Type, which I encourage every single person on the
Yeah.
planet to do, and my podcast partner on the Tara Show, which is tomorrow and Thursday at 2 p.m/11 a.m., Devlin listened to E. Jean's book. I read it ahead of getting her on the podcast, which was an amazing interview, which I hope everyone goes back and watches because we got good stuff from E. Jean that no one else got, which is always my intention with an interview. But the court transcripts that are in the book that weren't widely shared by the media because the media doesn't do its job are really important for people to read, because what it does is, aside from E. Jean having the unique experience of being able to speak to how he uses his physicality to intimidate and, you know, all of this, multiple women testified about him doing the same exact thing to them, bullying them, pushing them up against the wall, trapping them, getting them alone in a room, all over and over and over. The stories align almost exactly. Same as Katie Johnson. He did this to me. He threw money at me. He told me to get a fucking abortion. He told me this. He said this. Everything that's been shared, the disgusting birthday card message that the Wall Street Journal sure.
Right.
All of it is in his voice. All of it is stuff that you've heard him say before in
Right.
different ways. And the MAGA cult, like you said, he says hoax and they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
How many times has he lied just about the Epstein files? Like the
Right.
loop-de-loop of the Lolita Express insanity. There's no list. Yes, there's a list. No, there are binders. There's nothing in the binders. There's this, but we blacked it out. Just stop. All right. Like, what I consistently ask, because you know me. If I can understand the why of a person, I'm like, okay, I don't have to agree with you, but I get you. My
Right.
question at this: how many times are you going to let him lie to you about this? Like, what do you have
Yeah.
so invested in this person? What do you have that is so important that you will not let go of this, that you're justifying the rape and
I'm
sex
going to go with
trafficking of
brown
children?
people scary. I think for a lot of them, I think it's
Still,
just
but there are
boils down.
brown people supporting Trump.
Oh
There
yeah,
are
no.
black
They
women
don't look at-
supporting Trump. So you know,
Although I played a Rasmussen video last week because Rasmussen is doing these updates because they apparently he's not taking their fucking calls now that the polls are going bad for him. So they're doing these audience of one videos going, "You're in deep shit, buddy," and he fell
they
below.
love him at Rasmussen.
Yes,
Rasmussen
he
loves them.
broke the big deal about Trump was he broke the 30% of black voters during the last election. He has now dropped below that again, and he cracked that at the beginning of the Epstein thing, and it has continued to go down ever since.
And it will.
And as costs have not gone down, as tariffs are impacting people's general costs, especially at places like Walmart and Target and stuff. There are people along a certain economic spectrum that might have jumped on the train with him that are jumping off, and among them are a certain number of black voters who were like they were on board with this whole thing. They were mad about immigrants, even Haitian ones, showing up in their neighborhood and this kind of stuff. There was a big division driven by this on social media. The Russians were behind a big chunk of it. They had bots running all over the place saying, these are the reason you guys are broke, like that kind of shit, which they used on white voters back in the fucking 70s. So why wouldn't it work on black voters or anybody else now? Like,
Crazy.
humans aren't that different. And so, this is, they are up, when Rasmussen is recognizing that his support is collapsing and it's not getting better. He signed his signature piece of legislation, which was supposed to be the biggest deal of his presidency, his Affordable Care Act, the big, beautiful bill, which was named after the Build Back Better. He was still jealous of the Build Back Better bill.
Baby.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He wants a BBB and a BBB,
Big
so people think,
bill.
wait, I guarantee that if this motherfucker thinks he can run next time, he's going to say, I passed BBB. Like, he's going to make his followers think he passed the infrastructure bill. No, I agree. But that in his mind, call it the same thing.
Won't make it.
Take Obama's name off of it and then re-release it as my thing. Like, everything's a reboot with this motherfucker. So the issue that they run up against, and I'll see if I can show you this right here. So the Independent in the UK released what they consider the Epstein list. Now, this is not the list, because everybody's talking about the client list. What the list really is, I believe, is a list of people that the FBI compiled of people who were in business with and beneficiaries of the sex trafficking that Epstein was involved in. Co-defendants. That's the list. It's not just anybody who flew on his fucking plane. It's not anybody that flew on the plane when he wasn't there. And it certainly is different for a group. If you flew with a group of adults and you went someplace because he was trying to weasel his way into high society with the help of Ghislaine Maxwell and all these people, versus, or gifting his plane to charity, blah, 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 versus flying just back and forth from New York to fucking West Palm Beach or to his island with little girls on the plane and people sitting there going, she seems young, right?
Is
Including,
that his niece?
well, the fucking Maximum Golf story, which is on Trump's plane. Okay, so here's the list that the Independent put forward. This is, and some of it's obvious, but I want to show something before they start talking about the list. They go, among more than 100 people mentioned in these documents were Trump, Prince Andrew, and former President Bill Clinton. Notice how Trump's name is not a hot link.
Is not highlighted.
It's not a hot link. Yeah. It's not only not yet highlighted, it's, you click on it won't lead to other shit that is tied to this. And it is the single biggest fucking part of it, because Prince Andrew has no power in the United States. Bill Clinton is a former president who has no power in the United States. Donald Trump has the nuclear codes right fucking now. So, all right. So that in and of itself, Independent, go fuck yourself. Okay. Ghislaine Maxwell,
obviously. Prince Andrew, obviously. But
Bill Clinton,
one thing that...
look at this. Bill Clinton, blue text, Donald Trump,
blue,
black.
but not Donald, not Hillary, which is interesting.
And by the way,
David
linked, and by the way, they say in this thing, linked to him, or I think, what's the word? Legal records connected to Epstein.
So there's also, and I don't know if you've seen this because, you're doing all of these things, but my senator, Ron Wyden, uncovered over 4,000 wire transfers in the billions of dollars.
4,725.
Funneled through Russia. Weird. So, and this goes back, I did a thing with Sherry Jacobus the other day, and she posits that one of the reasons he's so freaking out about the Epstein files is that within the Epstein files is that information, but then also she believes that Putin has a video of Trump killing either a woman or a young child, like a young girl. She thinks there's a snuff film in this. And then the other point to make here, besides all of that, is that Jeffrey Epstein had to run a legitimate business on the surface, right? He was a financier and he helped people with their finances because a lot of, that was his Robert Kennedy Jr. Weird. So
and his family.
Some of these people and his family.
Multiple times.
So not highlighted, weird. So what's interesting is that there were people who conducted legitimate financial business with him because he helped them make more money, but that doesn't mean they raped anyone. That just means that he helped make the money. Do I think that all of these people on this list are rapists? No.
Clearly not.
But there are those on this list who were victims, and there are people on this list who were absolutely co-conspirators, and then there are people on this list who just wanted to make more money. And what we don't know is who's, who did and who didn't. What we have to do is believe the women. And it's ridiculous. Instead of trying to find a
Well,
list or prove a list, just why don't you listen to the
Not her.
testimony from someone like
That's Sarah Kellen. She was like his assistant. She, more than almost anyone besides Ghislaine Maxwell, knows his entire schedule, knows who came and went, knows everybody's phone number, knows when they were at the ranch in New Mexico, all this stuff. She knows. You could argue that she actually was the younger model of Ghislaine.
Unindicted co-conspirator. See,
Oh, yeah.
These are the bad. You can see
She's
who
married
the
to a
bad
NASCAR
people
dude
are.
right now in a $5.6 million apartment in Manhattan.
Ooh,
Yes.
look at all of this though. So what like, yeah, the raping of the little girls is terrible, but all of the financial fuckery matters also.
Yeah, they allowed
right?
it.
And
They made it happen. They aided and abetted. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to be really interested to see what my Senator Ron Wyden does with this financial information, because he's like, that's 4,125 routes to follow. Those are 4,125 investigations to open up right there, is what Ron Wyden said. And so if you never did a thing, great. Dr. Wawa.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Scary
All right.
shit. Right.
But okay, so these are all.
Oh, by the way,
people-
these are linked with the case and that kind of stuff too. I don't know why they link these with her. These are doctors that were involved in her making her case, that she confessed these things to them, that they were there to say that she had PTSD because she had a civil suit against him as well as the criminal charges against him. So that's probably why they're listing these, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
The Independent, what the fuck are you listing? These people weren't on the goddamn plane. What are you talking about? It's almost like they're put there just to water down the whole fucking thing. Psychologist to Virginia Jeffrey, physician who treated her, psychiatrist who treated her, physician who treated her. Like, why the fuck is that, quote, linked to Epstein? Unless he paid for him. Is that the case they're making? The fuck is wrong with them?
If those were doctors that were brought in by Epstein, they're not to be trusted. If they're real doctors, they shouldn't be on that list because they were trying to help a victim of rape and sex trafficking.
Exactly.
So the distinction there should be made. That's shoddy by the Independent. I usually trust the Independent because they're not an American news source. So
well, Andrew and the royal family being what they are, there's a reason why they have to mention it, but they can soften the blow as well.
Yes. Certainly. I mean, the Independent is not the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is a fish wrap. The Independent is real shit. I trust the Independent and the Guardian.
The Daily Mail is the one who ran the anti-Katie story.
Of course they did.
They're the ones who said she recanted the whole thing. Like, she was scared to death.
No, she didn't.
Yeah. Well,
you get death threats. You know, that's fine. You can drop a case because you've gotten death threats. That doesn't change what you testified. That doesn't make your testimony less valid. That's you going, well, you know what? I'd rather not have my entire family murdered because you're a fucking pedophile. So, okay, I'll drop this court case and go into hiding for the rest of my life. Thanks so much. MAGA using that as an argument makes me so sick. And it's like, you are twisting yourself into the tightest conspiracy pretzel possible to justify Trump raping little girls because you don't want to believe he raped little girls when he used to talk about his daughters in the most disgusting sexual way, including when Tiffany was born. There's a million
before she was born. He was like, hopefully she'll whatever.
No, that was just when she was born. There was the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and it's Robin Leach sitting with Marla and Donald, and he's like, "What parts of you and Marla did Tiffany get?" And he's like, "Well, I hope she got my brain, but we'll have to see about the other stuff when she gets older." He did this. He does this gesture, talking about his infant newborn daughter's potential breasts because he's so fucking disgusting.
Gross.
And Katie Johnson and a lot of those little girls that he raped all looked like Ivanka, and if they didn't look exactly like Ivanka, they were given blonde wigs so they would look like Ivanka. And how many times did he talk about his daughter's body? He talked about her with Howard Stern.
I'd say sex. What do you have in common? I'd say sex.
They had sex in common. She's got an amazing body. And he said on The View, if she wasn't my daughter, a piece of ass. He said on The View, if she wasn't my daughter, perhaps they'd be dating her. And to her credit, Joy Behar goes, "Stop it.
Yeah.
That's disgusting."
Right.
So, because it is disgusting. He is disgusting. He has always been disgusting. And when he's not being disgusting, he's being a fucking coward. Reminder, he blocked me on Twitter almost exactly 10 years ago. Next month is its 10-year anniversary. We're going to get a cake. So it's just how much long, like, again, I go over and over in this, like, how many times do you want to be lied to about this because you just don't want to believe you were wrong? You know, like, and the other thing that I always say is, and I've said this on this show, on pretty much every podcast I've ever been on, is all I care about is the truth. And if you don't care about the truth, what are you doing? Like, why won't you care about the, like, I don't care who the truth is about. And we always roll out the same examples. Michael Avenatti, a disappointment for sure. But guess what? I wasn't struck by lightning when I said Michael Avenatti turned out to be a giant piece of shit. And the sun came up the next day. Same thing with John Edwards. Show me a bigger Democratic disappointment, can you, than John Edwards? He was going to be the next JFK. And then we found out he impregnated his mistress while his wife was dying of cancer. I'm sorry. There's nothing lower than that. I'm going to go ahead and say, except maybe raping children. We don't have any proof that John Edwards raped children. Instead, he just cheated on his dying wife. That's a Newt Gingrich move. Newt Gingrich cheated on his second wife when she was going through cancer treatment. Yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is you can admit you were wrong about something and you will not die from that. You can say you were wrong about someone because they lied, they grifted, they cheated.
Calling out a wolf in sheep's clothing does not mean you hate sheep from now on. And that's the essence of this. We can all discover a wolf in sheep's clothing without losing our sympathy for sheep. And that's the point, is that if someone's wearing a disguise and pretending to be your friend, there's, you know, other than feeling like, oh shit, I got taken by this person, which if you were in an interpersonal relationship with them, I would get it. If you were friends directly with Michael Avenatti and then you knew him for a long time and then he turned out to be a piece of shit, it might be harder for you to deal with the fact that you were a sucker in this. But most of us were just going on a media personality that he put out. And therefore, if he turned out to be a piece of shit, you're like, oh, okay, I guess that was wrong. Like that, I don't have to take it fucking personally.
Yeah, I did. I did because I created the Hottie Avenatti hashtag and I bought the Basta hat and I was into him. Like, I was like, that man is fucking fine. And he is up there advocating for this woman and he's speaking tough about Trump. He was like walking Spanish fly for a hot minute. And then we found out he was just as bad as Trump. And that was a huge disappointment. And I have DMs from Avenatti from back then where he thought he was going to run for president. And then he started talking shit about Democratic women. I'm like, the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't be this guy. And he was like, I'm going to say things and no one's going to hold me back, not even you. And I was like, bitch, all right, I got you now. Like, fuck you. I'm done. I'm done. All you have to do is show me who you are one time. And I'm good. I don't, no one likes to be lied to and no one wants to admit they were grifted. It's embarrassing because you think you're a smart person. You think you're informed. But it's just like, it's like dating. Like, you date someone, you go on a couple of dates and they show you their best self. And then you find out, oh, they're homeless and not in the cool Instagram van life way, whatever. You find out things about people because they hide them.
That sounds a little close to home.
It's very Portland, and I have a whole dating questionnaire that I used to use to when I cared about dating, I used to use it as a way to screen. Like, did you get out of a coma recently? Things that happened to me helped me screen for the future. And now I'm just done with all of that. But anyway, the whole point being, when someone shows you who they are and you choose not to believe them, that's on you. Because that person is like, I'm a lying, grifting piece of shit. And MAGA's like, but I can't be wrong. So I'm going to dig in and say what you're doing is fine. Like, what?
Well, it's like I have a list like that goes with managers and agents. That I will not have a manager who operates out of their house. You got to have an office.
It's fair.
It's because my experience has led me to not good. Like, it doesn't mean, I'm sure there's somebody who's probably great out there who works out of their house. I'm just, not going to your house. And secondly, if you're that good, you should have an office. You should be able to afford to have an office outside your house.
And an assistant.
Right, yes. Yes.
Verify, then trust. That's why there were, back in the dating days where I was still swiping and caring, there were plenty of guys who were like, you want to come over? I'm like, I don't know you. I'm going to, no. And I never let anyone pick me up where I lived either. I would always meet someone somewhere because I'm an adult with my own vehicle.
Yes, right, which is why.
You never, ladies, Learn from me. Never let him come to your place ever. And you don't go
Nah.
to his until after at least the third date.
Sure.
Let's,
Yeah.
be smart. It's about being smart. And again, not every single MAGA person is stupid. Not every single one. Some of you,
Right.
I heard you guys talking earlier. There are people with college degrees who think the world is flat. What? So if you want to be a willfully obtuse ostrich with your head in the sand, I can't change that. My job is to keep putting the truth out into the world. And my line now is, here is all of the evidence that points to Trump being a really guilty child fucker. If you don't want to believe that, that's on you. The burden of proof does not lie with me. It does not. I'll just keep pointing out that it's really weird for an innocent and transparent person to keep lying to you. That's weird.
Right.
You want to be lied to? That's your damage, not mine. If you don't want to believe the truth, it doesn't make the truth less true. It makes you look stupid. Okay. What do you want? I can't do anything with that. I can't do anything with that except keep telling the truth, because that's what we do. That's what I care about. I don't want to be lied to. When people lie to me, I tell other people, oh, that person's a liar. That person lied to me. My former podcast partner from back in 2018, giant grifter. I found out too late, but as soon as I found out, I told the entire world, I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. I'm so sorry I had to find out the wrong way, but I found out, I learned, and now I am very careful about who I trust. It's just you live a life and you have some life experience, and then you look back and go, that's a moment where I made a mistake because I wanted to believe somebody was being nice to me and telling me the truth. And that was not the case. And so you live and you learn and you move on. And look, I'm still here today. Still here, still at it. So telling the truth or learning the truth or admitting you were wrong or whatever will not end your life.
I would just like to say,
I want MAGA to know this.
In defense of people who are who believe the world is flat, who may have a college degree, you can get a college degree in like fermentation. You can get a college degree in comic book art. You can get a college degree in foresight. University of Houston offers a degree in predicting the future. So
you can get a degree in Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Lyrics,
So which I mean,
you could write a dissertation.
Doesn't fit this category because that's
But
legit, obviously.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I think
I understand being mad that you got lied to, which you have every right to be mad about being lied to. You have every right to be upset that somebody grifted money from you. It's not. I'm going to say it's been a decade, right? It has been 10 years of this blight on humanity.
Yeah.
And the Red Hat Death Squad has found their red line. It took them this long.
Yeah.
I wish they had enough natural curiosity to go, well, if he lied to us about the Epstein files, what else did he lie to us about? They don't have that.
Not
but
yet.
if this is the thing that it took them this long to get here, despite the fact that you had the E. Jean testimony and you've had testimony from other adult women who have said such things. There are people who still don't want to believe E. Jean was raped. Shut the fuck up. But there's a lot of suspension of disbelief. Here we are at a time where we can no longer allow for you to suspend your disbelief. Like it's
Correct.
just come on. It's a come on now, you guys. Like again.
Like
Do not fall for anything that he's trying to fix now. Barn door and horse. Okay, done.
Yeah.
You want to look back at all of the other things that whatever. This is something like you guys were saying, like everybody's saying, this one's not going away. It's not going away in the right way. And it's so bad. It is so bad for him that he allowed a statement about his health to be released.
Yes,
which he would never normally do. Because if there's anything you know about Donald Trump, it's that he equates being ill with being weak. Remember how he made fun of Hillary for coughing? Remember how he wouldn't go on
she was
stage
dying
with
of
a veteran who
Parkinson's
was
and the
in a
flu
wheelchair?
and AIDS and whatever else, like everything all
the
at once.
illnesses that
Ebola.
illnesses that Biden allegedly had, and he wouldn't go on. Trump wouldn't go on stage with a veteran in a wheelchair because he didn't like the optics of that.
Right.
He's like, I'm not going on stage.
Probably
next
thinks
to
being
that.
crippled is contagious.
or something. It'll make him look weak. Remember when he had COVID, and after he gave Biden COVID at the debate and he had to leave the White House to go to Walter Reed, he wouldn't let them put him in an ambulance, which would have been faster, but would have made him look weak. Instead, he took off in Marine One because the optics of going away in a helicopter is way more badass.
Macho.
He has now admitted, because the pictures of the hand with the makeup on, because he had bruises from his IV ports.
Yeah, that's spackle. It's not makeup, but yeah.
And the cankles, the swollen nanocankles, like you cannot deny that you're not a healthy person, Donnie Drive Through, because all you've eaten in your entire life is piles of sodium in different forms, washed down with liquid chemical crap. So, but for him to allow them to say, here is a real condition. Now we haven't seen a medical report, and we don't know which doctor diagnosed him. I'm not sure. I didn't see that. But to say that he has this condition to try to make himself look sympathetic, that's
the scramble. That's the scramble that we're talking about. Where this is like a lot of articles coming out about how hard it is for him to shake this, and how he just thinks it's gonna go. But every time I check YouTube and Rumble and all these sites where the maggots are posting their videos, each day they're increasingly having these what the fuck moments. And especially when he started calling it a hoax, which was just like this lazy fallback, and then he called it boring, which is like
raping children.
Right. Well, even true crime in general. Like, do you have any idea how true crime driven the American electorate is currently? And I know I'm not just projecting right now, like Summer and I, like and this is perfect for that kind of shit. A dead defendant who is creepy and mysterious. And all this kind of stuff, and it's striking how poorly his usual playbook will work for the Epstein files debacle. Ford wrote, adding that Trump cannot credibly claim that he is the victim of some kind of witch hunt, even though he is trying to do so. There is, he's your buddy. It's so odd.
You promised. There is a tweet from him from September 2024 saying he will release the Epstein files if he wins the election. Yeah. He said it over and over again when he was campaigning on the Lolita Express. And by the way, when your plane breaks down and you are an alleged millionaire, why don't you just rent a plane from NetJets or borrow a plane from a friend? No, you had the Lolita Express repainted with your logo so you could fly around in your former crime scene and relive the glory days of spewing your DNA all over the walls and floors of that thing. As soon as the Lolita Express would take off, Jeffrey Epstein would get naked and start raping little girls. They weren't even barely in the air. You're not even over international waters to get away with that shit, and he was already doing it. So don't tell me that they weren't friends until the day Jeffrey Epstein died, because if you don't have a plane that you can use and you decide, I'm going to get the rapey plane instead of a regular plane, something is wrong with you. And there are his own voters didn't know that he did that, because why would he tell them that he did that? And there have been so many people who have trolled me, and I'm like, I tell you what, go ask the Google, repainted Lolita Express Trump campaign. And they never come back. They never come back after that, because they find out I'm not lying to them, because I'm not a liar. Donald Trump is the liar.
Can I also point out, oddly enough,
go ahead. It's the truth. No, it's just not the truth. If it was Bill Clinton, I would say so. What is that? What Donald is that Trump, that he tweeted? What is that?
He posted a video of this girl catching a snake.
In a bikini.
In a bikini. Like all these just videos. It's a 3-minute video of weird shit, but it starts with this girl
I don't think he meant to post this. I think he was watching YouTube and accident. Why would he send this out? What about this is interesting?
I mean, it's douchey. It's just regular, kind of stuff. But probably because it opens with this.
Probably. He had no idea what came after that. He was like,
didn't care.
He was like, woman bikini.
Just saw a woman grab the snake.
Woman,
even though it's a fake snake and it's obviously on a string and it's whatever the fuck and just stupid. He posted that yesterday in the middle of all this Epstein shit. He's just and this almost lines up with that whole you know what? I'm not going to give a speech. Let's just listen to music and stand here like a dipshit. That his brain is his tapioca,
Mush.
and he
Mush.
feels indestructible on some level and panicked because he isn't on the other.
Right. And he can't hide anymore. There's nothing to hide behind
No.
anymore. Right? His health is bad. He just admitted that. He just
Mm-hmm.
admitted he's a walking MI about to happen, or some sort of ischemic stroke if he already hasn't. I think he already had an ischemic
I agree.
stroke,
I think
which
that's
is
what the
why
aspirin's
he flagged
about.
the leg.
I posted this on my Blue Sky, but like they no longer recommend aspirin therapy for people who his age who haven't already had a stroke or a heart attack.
Right.
So he's
Right.
had one of either. I think more than likely it might be
stroke.
both. Right, but the stroke we kind of are aware of. But remember the 6 days after the election where he was basically not like totally silent.
Yeah.
He was
I think
apparently
he had a heart
allegedly he
attack
was in the
that day.
hospital for like 5 days because of exhaustion and that kind of stuff is what they said. But
Dehydration would make sense too.
right,
Because he doesn't drink water.
right.
He only drinks Diet Coke. And even though the first ingredient of Diet Coke is water, the rest of it is pure chemical shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to drink a shit ton of Diet Coke. I used to call it the nectar of the gods. I would drink like 6 to 8 cans of it a day. That was my preferred delivery system.
It's like Bobcat
now-
Goldthwait
oh,
and
God.
Tab.
I have not. I don't drink any flavored beverages besides coffee. I drink. This is soda water. I drink it all day, every day.
Right.
It's I gave up Diet Coke, I think, in 2014, and I immediately lost 15 pounds. So and it's weird, like Diet
Right.
soda, you think Diet soda, but because it tasted so good when I was eating, I'd be like, I'm gonna have some snacks so I can just drink this. It's a terrible lifestyle choice.
Right.
Terrible. Soda is poison. It's both soda and alcohol. Poison.
My favorite, one of my favorite Bobcat Goldthwait lines in he used to drink like a case of Tab a day. Basically, was the running thing, which explains a lot about where his character came from. But he would like drink it he'd drink a 6-pack of it on stage. And at one point he would go,
gross.
"This has the same ingredients as a battery."
It does.
Yeah.
It's like drinking battery acid.
My mother, shut up.
No,
So
I used to. I had moments where I would hold up the can and go, "This is killing me right now."
Yeah.
You know, because it's so delicious. What a delicious
so
way to die.
on our
And now I'm just like, oh,
in our last 10 minutes together, shall we talk about Tulsi Gabbard's attempted smokescreen as the head of the DNI about this?
boy.
Like, we're going to
Oh, yeah.
arrest Obama. Here it comes.
Erase the black
Don't
list.
worry, QAnon. It's coming. I have an infographic
What?
which doesn't prove shit and won't do anything and will just end up like getting us all shut down and embarrassed again. Because I got news for you. The idea that they're going to issue an arrest warrant for a former president, whatever, like, dude, do you have any idea the can of worms you are opening up on yourself? Which, I mean, maybe he
got
thinks it's
nothing.
already going to happen. He knows he's going to get arrested after the fact. So he's like, fuck it. It's not like I'm opening the can of worms. I am the can of worms. Right?
This is such bullshit. I mean, you want to talk
Yeah.
about a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt. What they did to
Yeah.
Hillary, a witch hunt. And that's, again, the projection language. There is no reason to investigate or arrest Barack Obama except for the fact that he was a better president than Donald Trump and he's a black man. That's what they're doing. They're attacking him. He has always been a scapegoat for the Republican Party and for MAGA. That's why we got Trump in the first place, because enough racists in this country were mad that a black man got elected president. They
You're
still
right.
don't think he should have been president because he's a black man. And it's disgusting. And it points to, we don't have time to go into all of the racism.
But their vote might just simply be revenge over a black man being president of the United States.
Sure.
That in and of itself,
Sure.
for some of them.
And let us all remember that Hillary Clinton rightly pointed out that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset and always has been. She was
Right.
never a Democrat. She was never one of us.
No.
She never, ever. She was a plant to start the disruption that eventually has erupted into where we are now. And the fact that she has the gig she has is full on reward from Daddy Vladdy. He's very pleased.
Yeah.
Daddy Vladdy loves Tulsi Gabbard. He loves her. She's a very useful puppet. She's been very loyal, just like Trump, just like Ron Johnson, just like Rand Paul. Every so often, I'm sure they're given directives to act like they're not Russian assets, which just makes them look like bigger Russian assets.
Right.
So this obvious, it's such an obvious ploy. If they had anything on Barack Obama, that was worth arresting him for, it would have happened already. It would have happened during
Right.
his first administration.
Well, and
Get the
also-
fuck out of there.
Also,
Just
in any
stop
of these
it.
situations, the level of again of deposition of the people involved in the case and the interest, and like, there's so much information that if you start digging down is bad for Trump. For example, one of the reasons why he says they spied on going off his system that could track nation of origin of cell phones around the White House and other places. He was trying to sell this thing to the DOD. And he ran a demo of it effectively around the transition when Trump was going in, because he was trying to sell it. He thought, I'm going to get a contract.
Right.
And it showed all these Russian phone numbers inside the White House during the transition. While,
Weird.
did we go offline for a second? Hold on, are we there?
There was a
What
moment
happened? Oh, we're
where
good.
you froze.
Okay,
but
yeah,
it
we're
came
good.
back.
Just refresh.
I could
Okay.
see you and hear you fine. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, but this guy tracking these numbers was not on behalf of the Obama administration. It was simply during the Obama administration. And this guy was like pointing out that, holy shit, there's a bunch of Russian cell phone numbers in the White House during the transition. What the hell is going on? And that's
Weird.
where the
What a
whole
weird
they spied on my
coincidence.
campaign thing came from. So if you dig down into that, that's terrible for him. So what this is yet another bullshit smokescreen, because if they start digging, what the bedrock they're going to hit in all these situations is Trump was a Russian asset and a dupe and a dumbass and was leveraged out the ass during this entire thing. It's why he's been sucking up to Putin and Xi Jinping and all these authoritarian leaders this whole time. And he needs,
But it's also projection. It's
Right.
also projection because the Russians, if you all remember, the Russians hacked both the DNC and RNC servers. That's spying. And then they released what they found on the Democrats and held on to what they learned about the Republicans for compromise. That's a big reason for how we got here. And that is a specific level of spying, because if you're investigating someone's misdeeds and you hold on to that and you use it against them, that's shady business, because Donald Trump has been Putin's baby puppet since 1987.
Right.
He groomed him just like Roy Cohn. Donald Trump went from Daddy Roy Cohn to Daddy Vlad because his own father did not love him. And his own father never took care of him. And he's walked around with double chips on his shoulders because his parents didn't love him. So he's lived through a life of mommy issues and daddy issues, which is why he has no respect for women. And he is drawn to any man who's like, oh, you're very useful. Come over here. You're smart. You're good. I love you. I'll take care of you. Here's
Enjoy
money.
these
But you go do
ladies.
this for me. Here is peeing on you women. Oh, wait a minute. Don't kill her. Oh no, I got you. Sherry Jacobus believes that there is a snuff film with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She believes that
Based on
we
what?
were talking about what could be, because we were talking about what could be worse than raping a child, because Donald Trump raped
Oh,
children.
no.
And that's what.
Hold on. It doesn't have to be worse. No.
What do we think Putin
the
has
Michael
on him?
the Michael Wolff pictures are bad enough. And I'm sure you've heard about the Michael Wolff pictures, which is the topless pictures that Epstein has of Trump by the poolside with these girls who are clearly underage.
them on
And
the
Donald
lap.
Trump has a stain on his lap, and they're all pointing at his dick and laughing at him and that kind of shit.
Right.
That's enough.
Right.
That's enough. Those
Enough.
girls are definitely not of age, at least one of them. Even if Trump thought they were, it doesn't fucking matter. And that comes out. That picture of him sitting there with a splotch on his pants with them laughing at his dick is enough. Like, that's worse. Because again, and that's why I've said, like, the myth and the idea that it's a hoax and all this kind of stuff, as bad as it is, as bad as the attack on him is from the MAGA, media sphere, and as bad as they're freaking out about it, if they knew the truth, it would be worse. And worse is pictures of Donald Trump basically getting a lap dance from underage girls while they laugh at his dick. And that, because he splurted, and they, because he's weak and
he's a premature ejaculator.
Yeah, he's a premature ejaculator. That's enough. It doesn't have to be worse.
Was it you or was it our good friend John Fugelsang who said Trump can't be shamed, but he can be embarrassed?
Me.
Which is a great line.
That
was you who said that. See,
he
I
has
knew it was
no
one of my
shame, but he can be
genius pals
embarrassed.
here. Absolutely,
Yes.
and that's where it comes from. This Epstein thing has embarrassed him. The Wall Street
Yep.
Journal article where he called the Wall
Right.
Street Journal himself to say, "Kill it," embarrassed him because it's true. If it wasn't true, he wouldn't be embarrassed. And you know,
Mhm.
a lot of something I say over and over again. He sure acts weird for someone who's so innocent and transparent.
That's why
So
that's
weird,
the
yeah,
whole
so
thing. I
weird.
think, Fellahin saying MAGA will not blink over that picture, not even a little. Yes, they will. They're already
They don't like
blinking.
it.
They're already
They don't like
blinking
that naked
at the
drawing.
fact that he's hiding stuff. When it comes out, it'll
Yeah.
go, see, that's why he was hiding it. That it will set.
He
And they
lies.
are. And there is are there hardcores who believe he's fucking shitted out of God's anus and is here to save us from,
Yes.
aliens or whatever, maybe. But there's 8 to 15% of MAGA-dom that won't become Democrats. They won't go vote for Jill Stein or some dumb shit, but they will stop. They will go back home and sit and just watch TV and go, fuck this. And that's what
right.
that's what the Republicans are afraid of. They have to keep as many of those people because they're already statistically on the downslope. That same Rasmussen report that I was telling you about, the guy said the Republicans have to be up 5 points to get ahead in the Senate and the House to win those offices. And they're not. They're underwater.
No.
Look, because everything Trump touches dies. Check this out real quick. This is U.S. citizens' opinion of Elon Musk. Unfavorable is blue. Favorable is black. This is
bad.
Yeah, this is bad. And you know why I dropped
I mean,
off?
it's good. It's good that people think that.
Because
But
we hated him because of how he was acting.
Right.
But maggots,
Right.
once he said Trump's in the Epstein list,
Trump was in the Epstein file.
that was it.
Yeah,
That's the same
they don't-
group because they can't confront it. Because if they do, they have to, they have to wake up to the lie, and they can't
Right.
allow themselves to do this. This is, constantly,
Yes.
Epstein scandal books
Yes.
and shows blow up as Trump desperately tries to scramble to drown it out. He's saying it's boring. Nobody's interested. Holy
Oh,
shit!
really?
I don't know about you.
Oh, really? It's
My-
boring. In the testimony that I recorded, he criticizes the way that the two little girls gave him a blowjob, said there was poor
Right.
quality. So maybe that's what was boring. They just didn't give him an exciting blowjob because they were
Right.
12 and 13. You know what? Also connected to what you just said, when you're losing your biggest influencers who are making so much money from you, that's a big deal too. Like.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not here to stand for a Nazi, and I'm not going to give any Nazi a full pass. But Nick Fuentes is out there just
Right.
raging against
Holy
this.
shit.
He's like, Democrats are gonna own the midterms. MAGA is finished. He's a fucking liar. He's a liar. He raped these little girls. He did all of this shit. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, Nick Fuentes and the frogs are telling the truth. What do we do now?
Right.
Because, I
Well-
know politics makes for strange bedfellows, but I'm still not going to get in bed with a
Damn.
Nazi because he's still a Nazi. He still hates Jews. He still hates me
I would
for
like
being
to.
Jewish.
Yes. I would like
But
to.
what do we
I would like
do?
everyone to pause in the chat
Yeah.
room and Tara and think for a second about all the conversation you've heard about the CIA being involved with possibly edge of terrorist groups because they are fighting against the leader. That's exactly where you are right now. That's exactly on a social media and on a political level. That's exactly how shit like that happens. And you don't have to be in bed with them to give them okay, wind yourself the fuck up because the enemy of my enemy is my friend to some degree. That's
friend,
how that
right.
happens. That's how it all happens.
Take the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And if this guy will wind up and fight the person that you find is a much bigger threat, you're willing to take that risk. And there's a history of
what?
geopolitics, not just in this country. We have there's a sunshine law and compared to the rest of the countries of the world in the United States. One of the reasons why the CIA gets blamed for so much shit is because we actually have representative government. As much as people think we don't, we do have committee hearings. And you might say they shove stuff under the rug and they don't fully investigate it, or some of it is behind the scenes, and that is absolutely true. But the fact that you're seeing it at all is a fucking miracle on any level. And our awareness about these programs, declassifications, FOIA requests, that shit doesn't happen anywhere else. Even England, parts of Europe, which are supposedly more liberal than we are, they have a much bigger clampdown on shit in Germany and in France and in UK than we do. And the reason we think of the CIA being behind everything is because we hear about it when they are. The KGB I mean, how many people in the United States know they basically formed the PLO? How many people, like, honestly, for fuck's sake, like, nobody,
I mean,
except the nuts like me
we
who
don't have
dive down
enough
into
time
these
to
holes.
get to that.
Right. So the point is that that's how these strange bedfellow things work. And to some degree,
Right.
maybe this is an opportunity for people to be a little more sympathetic to when that happens in history and go, this isn't about black and white and evil in this situation when the threat is
Right.
so fucking big,
Is that
whether real
big.
or perceived.
I did. Yeah, I actually responded to Nick Fuentes on Twitter, and I was like, "Hey, look, like, I want you to know that I appreciate that you are speaking the truth about this, but I need to know, like, was all of this stuff an act, or do you actually still hate me because I'm Jewish? Like, I need to know where we're standing here, because I just, if this was all an act, then you owe me a huge apology, because Nick Fuentes was instrumental in my 2016 cyber harassment. He was one of the people pushing it. And really, like, all of those fucking groypers, like, there's not a dumber made up word than groyper. And I see the image of that frog, and it is 2016, and it's not good. It's not, I don't use the word trigger about myself very often, but that is one of my very few when I see those fucking frogs. And so, but he didn't respond, and I don't know if I'm going to keep trying.
No,
because my account's so pressed, like, what's the point? But I put it there, like, what's up here? Because, like, if we're fighting the same enemy, let's do it standing shoulder to shoulder instead. Let's do that. But then where do you go after that? And that's another thing. Like, I'm really interested, because that man is gonna, if his veins are as bad as we have been told, he's gonna throw a clot very soon. That's just part of that condition that he has. He's going to throw a clot, and it's either going to go to his heart or his lungs. He could die of a pulmonary embolism. He could die of another stroke, one more stroke, and he's gone. It might not kill him, but it could fully incapacitate him, and then of course his heart could explode. Right. I don't want to be stuck with JD Vance as our president, because he is just as bad. And he is complicit in all of this. And today is 1 year since Kamala Harris began her campaign. Today is the 1 year. And she's the rightful 47th president of the United States. And I will believe that forever. And I will die mad about it, just like I'll die mad about Hillary, because we're finding out more and more about election fuckery. And I don't know that we'll ever get the full truth. But if there's anybody from the extreme right who's invested in this truth about the Epstein files, perhaps they will also then expand it to, well, maybe he didn't win the 2016 election. Maybe he didn't win the 2024 election. I don't know. And I think it's probably, too hopeful for me to
You know what?
want
Okay.
that.
Who knows? Who knows? Him.
Who knows?
He knows.
Who knows?
And Trump,
Of course
he knows. And while he has no shame, he can be embarrassed. And internally, the dude hates his own fucking reflection. I don't care what anybody says about him having narcissistic personality disorder. This motherfucker hates his face. He does.
Hates his face, hates his body, hates his body so much.
And that's what the root of his misogyny is, his own self-hatred, because he knows that the only women who will fuck him is because of his money, and any woman who would, he has such disdain for himself that if she would, even if he was poor, she even says that, like, ew, what the fuck's wrong with you? Right? Like like women are binary for him. They're either whores or they poke a hole in his myth that that he's selling to the world, that he's handsome and in control and sought after. Right. And he hates them for that, and then he hates the women that are just with him for his money because it's a constant reminder that he's an ugly, puss-faced, orange-skinned asshole, and he knows
he is unlovable.
Yeah,
he's unlovable,
and it drives him.
Parents showed him that.
Right.
He's unlovable.
Well,
he can't ride a bike or drive a car because no one loved him enough to teach him.
I'm not going to, you know how I feel about that. Yeah, but here's the thing. I know I will not, anybody over the age of 30, I'm not going to psychoanalyze their childhood, because I don't believe the idea that people are set in stone at 6 years old. And I think ultimately these are decisions he made. When you're 70 years old, when you're 70 years old, he is a man of his own making. I don't care how cold his parents were. He actively turned himself into a piece of shit. His second father was more important than his first father. Roy Cohn had more of an impact on his behavior and his attitude towards people, arguably because Roy Cohn was a predatory, pederast. He was into little boys, hated women too. Like for reasons,
he
I'm sure he has.
For being gay. he was a self-hating gay man. He
Oh, yeah, he
hated
said-
the fact that he was gay. Hated
that
it.
was
He's
the
like,
quote
I
I've
love
said.
women. I date women. Yeah.
When he was dying of AIDS, they said, "Are you worried that people are going to say that Roy Cohn was gay?" And he goes, "Roy Cohn is not gay." Speaking of himself in the third person, the way he taught Trump to do it, Roy Cohn is not gay.
Yep.
Roy Cohn is a straight man who fucks boys. That's what he said.
Yeah, see,
like
that's-
and that was Trump's only had 2 friends. Him and Jeffrey Epstein, and they're both dead pedophiles. What the fuck is going on in the world where the people don't understand what to do? So
Why is he not judged by the company he kept? I don't know why. And
I don't either.
And because it's honestly,
Amazing.
after a while, you just don't even make the same argument, because like all MAGA always comes back with is but Bill Clinton, and it's just like, go pound sand, because
right, then
but
him
Bill
too.
Clinton is
Sorry.
no longer.
Good. Bye.
If he did it, if he did it,
bye.
tell me you did
Okay.
it. Show me
Cool.
proof. Show me
Yeah.
the proof.
And if he did,
then
goodbye.
We're done.
I've said
Then
this
we're
about
done.
yeah.
Everyone, anyone. If it was someone who was my best friend and I found out that they raped little girls, I'd be like, bye, we're done.
Yeah.
And there are people like, I didn't know that about Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't know that about Donald Trump. And it's like, well, on their face, you can see how gross they are. And unless you were in the inner circle, maybe you couldn't know. I mean, I have friends that I hang out with all the time. I don't know their behind doors stuff, and I don't need to know unless they're doing something that's illegal. And if I found out they were doing something illegal, I would not be friends with them, and I would not defend them for doing something illegal, because that's not what you're supposed to do. So, but what will be interesting now is there's no coming back from this Epstein. Like you and Texas Paul were saying
Nope.
at the end, this is going to stick to him, and even after he's dead. This is his legacy. The legacy is he was finally brought down by, a dead pedophile. And Brian Karam said this. He was like, who would have ever thought a dead pedophile would unite this country? Because it is this is the red line. This is the red line.
This is the one time where
it took
MAGA where their heart
finally,
outran
right?
their head. That's what's
Finally.
happening. Their heart is outrunning their head.
So exploit that. We need to
Yes.
exploit that, and Democrats need to seize on it and not let it go. And the fact that there is a bipartisan effort to release the Epstein files. Thomas Massie, who I'm no fan of, spearheading a bipartisan effort to have them completely released. Great. You don't know what you're asking for? And by the way, what they don't release. And by the way, releasing just the grand jury testimony isn't enough, because he's claiming that the stuff in the Epstein files about him is fake, but everything in the Epstein files about other people is real.
Right.
Stop it. Marjorie Taylor Greene still hasn't gotten her pardon from January 6th. You think she finds out for real, she's going to find out he's a pedophile who raped little girls? What's she going to do? She hung out with Matt Gaetz. She went on tour with Matt Gaetz, who's a sex trafficking rapist pedophile. And I've always wondered.
And was Trump's
if Marjorie
first
Taylor
choice
Greene
for
ever
AG.
Right,
First choice.
Right.
Oh
and
my God.
Lauren Boebert is saying Gates should investigate this. And it's like, put all the pedophile sex traffickers in a room together and see what happens. You almost want George Santos to stand up and go, hey, kids, before I go to prison, here's everything I know.
Right.
So again, all of it will come out. All of it will come out. None of it will make them look good. And what'll be interesting is after Trump is gone, what are they going to do? What are their careers after this? Do they still have a life in politics? Is there still a Republican Party? What happens to the MAGA base? Joe Walsh, the former Tea Party guy who just registered as a Democrat, was on the Tara Show last week. And we talked about this extensively because he, this former Republican who was so diehard, and he's like, no, none of this is okay. And here's what you have to do. And he's like, if the Republicans think they're going to have a party, they need to walk away now. They need to cut bait now, because there will be no coming back if they hang in there any longer.
Well, and this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene, we'll end on this because it's so fucking sweet. You have to release, you can't tell people that there's an evil cabal running everything and then not go after the people who are doing it, is what she's saying, which is like statically obvious. Like it's just baseline, of course. Like, if they're that
January
evil.
6th bomber.
Right. Well, yeah. But here's the thing. If not, the base will turn and there's no going back. Dangling bits of red meat no longer satisfies. They want the whole steak dinner and will accept nothing else, which is such a weird analogy.
Burn it and put ketchup on it and shove it down your gullets. That's what you're getting. You've been eating his lies for a decade. That's why this is making you sick, because you have reached your limit now. And, don't tell me that you're the party.
Here's why not.
There it is. I mean, how How many times do you need to see a picture of him with Epstein or with Ghislaine Maxwell? How many times do you need to watch the videos? How many times do you need to hear about how he walked in on pageant girls who were 13 while they were
so
changing?
they could check their teeth and open their mouths and look at their tongues and that kind of stuff. The fucking weirdest, grossest.
It's what Coach Strauss did at Ohio State, Jim Jordan, but they did it with little girls. They're all disgusting. This is the party of pedophiles and rapists and those who protect them. That's what the GOP is.
By the way, this is not Melania Trump right here. This is Melania Knaus.
That's right.
This is before.
She is pre-Epstein visa.
Yeah,
before she got her anchor baby and started
Right.
her chain migration to bring her family here.
That's
Again,
right.
everyone who's railing against
Introduced
immigrants,
by
start with
these
that
two
bitch.
to this dude as effectively his handler for a while. I mean, that's
right.
I mean that
That's right.
there's so many cases that we'll talk about that on the next one. It's just been I missed you, so we went over, but I
missed
really
you
appreciate you sticking
too.
around. And
I
don't
missed
forget, you've got a show
everybody.
tomorrow
I'm-
and Tuesdays
I
and
do.
Thursdays or
Thursday. Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Political Voices Network, on the Substack and the YouTube. It's the Tara Show with me and Tara Devlin, 2 p.m. on the East Coast and 11 a.m. on the West Coast. And I have my Substack, and I hope everybody signs up for it. And if you sign up for a paid Substack, I would really appreciate it because, again, the longest and yet least profitable July in my personal history. Please buy my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, available now at TaraDublinRocks.com. And if you are like, I don't want people to just hand me money. I want them to get something from it. So you could kick down some money into my Venmo because I don't know if you know this, but dental work is very expensive and rent is due soon. And I don't have dental insurance, and it was almost $1,000 to get a tooth pulled and a cavity filled and all of the things. So, and that's just scary times. And we're here to support each other. So instead of just, if you want to give me $5 in my Venmo or a super chat, I love you and I appreciate you, but I also want you to have something for your money. And so if you sign up for my Substack or you buy my book, that's something, that's an exchange. And I feel better about that. I feel better about that. So I want to give you something for your time and your money and your effort.
Feel
I
bad
love
about
you and I
any of it.
appreciate you. And by the way,
people-
Hal, I texted you. I don't know if you saw this, but today is also the anniversary of the first time we ever met in person in 2012.
Aw.
When you came here to Portland and you played the Helium Comedy Club and you put me on the guest list because I had no money, and we met after the show and I sent you, it was a very grainy but still a good photo of the two of us back in the day when we were just young little upstart whippersnappers.
Yeah.
Without the foreknowledge of knowing possibly what was ahead of us and what would bring us together and connect us for all of eternity going forward. Because that was in the Obama year. See, there it is. There it is. Me with my long dark hair when I still cared about dyeing my hair, was just a long time ago.
Me with my short hair when I still needed to be corporate for the shows I was doing.
An innocent time. Those two young upstarts, and look where we are now, eternally friends forever. I want to come to Vegas and hang out with you, and I want to go to another Nerd Halen show.
Yes,
and I want you to come to Portland and sing with Lobar Corral. I want all of those things to happen.
We will make that all happen.
So we'll have to make those things happen. Bye, you guys. Take care of each other, and I'll see you soon.
Much love.
Thank
See you later. Okay, bye. There she
bye,
goes.
my book. Bye.
There she goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. And thank you guys, by the way, for being with us, and thanks for sticking around a little extra. I will let you go, and then I will see you guys this afternoon, because the meltdown is so choice, and I'm enjoying it so much. It is difficult to even express how it is. You know what I mean? Like the words fail. That the meltdown around this that is not going away is so so good. And it's our responsibility, by the way, like a good volleyball support team. Keep that ball in the air for when it can be spiked. Oh, thanks, Skeets. Yes, this is Hal Sparks, Mornings Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. And I will see you guys this afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. All right. By the way, I didn't actually run out of words to describe it. I just chose to not use the ones that were coming to mind because they were either food related or entertainment related or historical, related to historical situations and or religious experiences. And I would not make all of those things ugly by attributing them to anything related to the Epstein situation. So I just didn't want to burn analogies on this asshole. So there you go. Oh.